Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Toriko Chapter 252 review. This week's chapter of Toriko is actually, the structure is actually very simple, it really is. But there are a few things here that I want to talk about that caught my attention, that piqued my interest. But overall, it's actually very simple when it comes to a structure standpoint. Once again, there's actually like a sub flashback, a sub time skip, and then there is like a larger time skip where they jump 10 years later, and basically they get to the point where they're 10 years older, and we have we have Ichiryu. He takes on the four beasts' false body, the one that is actually going to the human world, and then the main body gets sealed by knocking Master Jiro. And Midora didn't do anything. But, I mean, at that point in time, we can assume that at that point in time, he was the weakest of the brothers. Now, the thing here is that, okay, so let me talk about a few things here, because this chapter, I mean, again, from that structure standpoint, it's very simple, it really is. The first thing is that, once again, we're seeing this psychological transformation of Midora. And he had this leftover darkness, this pit. He referenced it as a sludge that wouldn't go away, and that was his ties to the cities, his ties to the places that he was in, where he had always had to fight for survival since the day he was born. And seeing how the people, they were given free food by Frose-sama, and then one of the guys was like, I can't eat this. You know, this food isn't high caliber enough. Fuck this shit. And of course, Midora gets very upset because this is the same food that saved his life. Literally, like, this is the same food that made him to what he is today. In the sense of, in that flashback, not the guy like today. What happened with that guy, we have no idea. We'll get to that. But when in terms of the person in that story at that particular point in time, he was very upset, because Frose saved his life with that same food. And not only that, but also he had seen Frose work on cooking that food. And this person didn't appreciate the effort that she put into that food. So of course, very upset. And he's like, fuck that shit. And of course, that's what Frose says, no, it's okay, everything's alright. And then the whole thing about how he couldn't see clearly because of his ties to the city life that he's had before, because of his upbringing. And you can't even call it an upbringing. It's basically his like the beginning of his life, where he had to struggle to survive every waking moment. And let's call it his upbringing. Make it simple. And she says, no, your blood, your tears are the purest out of us all. And it really hits home with this guy, because again, even before, when Akasha helped him up, when he got attacked by the devil Orochi, which, by the way, was that thing we saw like chapters ago. It was the one, you remember, like when they were fighting in the arena, and it was like a it's like the purple snake with like the 3 heads and shit, or like the 3 eyes. They met it in the pufferfish area, and then the battle wolf, the clone, fought against that one, but that clone died, obviously. So, and then thus Terry was born. But again, like my point here is, simply put, that we've seen it before, and that one apparently, or a creature, like that same creature. Well, not that same creature, but you know what I mean. Like the same species attacked Midora, and he got cut in his leg, and then Akasha helped him up, and that was the first time where where he has had someone assist him in actually getting up and standing up and moving forward, because he's always had to do that by himself. But in this case, someone sticks out a hand. The simple shit, the simple things you do for people, can have tremendous lasting effects. Giving someone money, something like a simple $1, just to see them through the day. Helping someone when it comes to like finding a missing wallet, or when it comes to walking them down the street if they're elderly. Something of that nature. And that can have lasting effects. So, again, that's the point that I think Mitsutoshi is trying to get across here. Even the simple things can mean a lot in the long run. So, and again, I like the message here. I really do, like, for sure. Now, that's all the stuff involving Midora, just solely Midora. The stuff involving Jiro, and that's one thing about the flashback that I think that should be touched upon more. The development of Jiro and Ichiryu. It's mainly more about Midora, and granted, this is a flashback from his perspective, I'm assuming. But it's just that I would hope that he would touch upon Mitsutoshi, Jiro, and Ichiryu a little bit more. But still, overall, when it comes to Midora himself, I'm digging it heavy. Now, when it comes to the other things in the story, first thing, we learn about the 8 king species of the Gourmet world that exist, and how the Devil Rochi is compared to the Battle Wolf, and it's been so before, because I remember the Devil Rochi had like this insane regeneration ability, but even though it can be compared to one of the king species, it's not a king species. And we can assume off the gate what some of these king species are. The Battle Wolf, duh. The Mother Snake, and the Emperor Crow. Those 3, we can assume they're in the king species of the Gourmet world. Again, the whole explanation about the Emperor's Ring, and how when we see the Battle Wolf and Mother Snake facing off, they have this fucking zone and shit. Like, don't enter this area, otherwise you get murked zone. So, and I'm assuming that the king species, if they had headed clashes, they would actually have their own zones. The Emperor Crow is no bitch. I mean, granted, it's a crow, and it's like, it's a crow, but it's no bitch. It's no bitch. It's like, oh my god, you're like, wow, huge, scary. And in fact, I believe, oh fuck, wow, I'm going real bad now. I remember it was called like the bully of the skies, something of that nature. Like, yeah, something like that. Like the bully, or like the mean guy of the sky, something along those lines. The Emperor Crow, like he was just vicious, like it was just pecks and shit, like on some Pidgeot shit, like pecks and shit. So, but that being said, that was very intriguing, very fascinating to find out. The next thing we find out in the chapter is one of the main functions that we've seen before, but actually we see it a lot of times. But we have Akashi actually explaining this, actually talking about it, and he talks about the regeneration capacity of the Gourmet cells, and how you can have a fucking hole. You can have a hole in your chest, in your abdomen, and if you eat food that is compatible with your Gourmet cells, it could instantly just heal on the spot. So that would explain as to why these Toriko hackers can take so much shit. These guys get holes blasted in them all the time. They get body parts cut off all the time. And they're right back at you like, fucking no, man. Burner knife, yeah. And you're like, whoa, star, wait, whoa, whoa. So that's the thing, though. Like, the thing about it is that's fascinating, because it does show you why these characters are so durable, because their Gourmet cells can withstand, like we see a picture of this guy, he's still like walking around with a fucking hole in his goddamn abdomen, and once he eats the gourmet food that's capable with his Gourmet cells, that hole will restore itself, like the hole will cover it, end of story. Now, and of course, he explains this while he cures the wound on Midora's leg with that cure water. Then he explains how there are some wounds that actually cannot be recovered. Because there's always some kind of stipulation, otherwise Toriko characters would be straight up immortal. If that was the case, unless their heads were gone, they would be straight up immortal. Here's the thing, though. I always wonder why Akasha's scar was on his forehead. I always wondered why Midora had the fucking thing on his eyes, if they could regenerate like that. And other characters that we've seen so far. And the way it is that it's an emotional thing. Well, no, it's a spiritual thing. Apparently, if one faces an opponent of overwhelming status, or an opponent that has some kind of like emotional ties or something of that nature, if there can be a lasting wound if the gourmet cells themselves are wounded. It's some crazy shit. The gourmet cells themselves are wounded, and I don't know exactly what it was exactly, but it involves the spirituality of the opponents, and it involves the emotional status of the opponents and the people fighting. So it depends. But a wound can last a lifetime and cannot be recovered, which may explain Acacia's thing on his forehead, which I'm pretty sure he got from the Blue Nitro, which comes at the end of the chapter. And Acacia and Midora's thing, apparently his gourmet cells came from his scars, and it was via atavism. And remember the whole thing during the fight between Zazas and Setsuno, where Zazas did the skill, and he's like, yeah, I'm surprised that shit recovered, because that wound was supposed to last generations. Apparently, he inflicted a wound on the gourmet cells themselves. That's what I mean. Along those lines, he inflicted a wound on the gourmet cells themselves, and that wound on Setsuno's face was supposed to last generations. Every child she had, I mean, she was a grandma, but still, whatever. It was like, the thing about it was that every child she had from that point on was supposed to have a scar on their fucking face, like that, across their, like that. But the thing about it is that she recovered in the spot. But it does let you know that you can somehow attack the gourmet cells directly. Like, fuck that shit. And that, to me, I think is, it's I guess it's like, in a way, because it's not to such a high degree of this, but it's similar. It's like it's like a Logia in One Piece being attacked by Haki. It's like you're bypassing shit to get to the meats of the, like just to get to the meats, I suppose. That's I guess a good way to put it. And they're attacking the gourmet cells directly. And in the case of Midora, it was atavism, where maybe one of his ancestors had a scar on their face, and they had gourmet cells, because gourmet cells apparently have existed within humans for a long time. And originally, it was like Acacia founded gourmet cells via this unique, like, I think it was a squid, or no, not squid, jellyfish or some kind. But apparently, he's saying that now gourmet cells, and I don't know about that exactly, but gourmet cells have existed for a long time. So maybe one of his so the hint here is that one of Midora's ancestors may have had gourmet cells, got a scar on their face, and then generations later, that same scar appeared, but it gave Midora gourmet cells off the gate. So that's that right there. Now, and then there was one thing here that I found kind of weird, because Midora said something that I don't exactly know what he was saying. He was saying, after he learns about this, he's like, I think either he's talking to him, he's talking to himself, like his eyes start to turn pitch black, and he's like, you devil, like, let me find the actual, let me find it somewhere, because it caught me off guard. I was like what's happening here exactly? Hold on now. Okay, so he says this: how dare that utterly selfish devil show his face? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, what's going on? Like, is he talking to himself? Is someone talking to him? Is it like some Yusuke and his father rising shit, where like his father's talking to him through his mind? Like, what's going on right now? I don't know. That one panel, I think I'm gonna pay attention to a lot, because I don't know what that panel is actually. That means something, obviously. Either he's talking to himself, or someone's talking to him. But this one panel, I believe that this may somehow tie to the transition of Midora to where we see him today, in real time. But that's the next thing. So that's the last thing. The next thing. They explain the whole thing about after the whole 4 weeks thing, they explain the thing about the eclipse, and how it's on the way real soon. This, to me, I had to pay attention to, because I think Mitsutoshi is trying to foreshadow something horrifying. And when I say something horrifying, I knew that Toriko went big, but I was like, bro, hold on, wait a second. You can't go that big. I was like, wait, whoa. I talked about extraterrestrial shit, but you can't go that big. That's a tad bit too big. I mean, That's like Big Show big. Well, it's a big. That's like Black Penis big. It's like, oh my. Just saying. It's basically, and this page I'll find real quick too. Give me a quick second here. No takes. Okay, so right here we have this thing about how the 4 beasts is defeated, and then Akashi comes in there. He talks about his full course. He's preparing it. He's gathering the ingredients, and so basically he explains about how Froze is your food immersion ready, and then he mentions how the solar eclipse is on the way. And the thing about this solar eclipse is that I found it very strange how it's a big fucking deal, because the solar eclipse, what it really is in a sense, is just the moon covering in one part of the planet. It's the moon covering, or it's the moon overshadowing the sun. And so at that particular point on the planet, the moon is covering the sun, or the moon is in front of the sun. But in this case, it appears like the solar eclipse is like for the entire planet, and that to me is like, so what is going in front of the sun, where the shadow is going to encompass the entire planet, a planet that is, from what I gather, 7 times the size of planet Earth. And here we have Midora saying this, and I quote, "Those fairy tales you told us as a kid, Acacia, the 4 beasts really did show up. So then, with the solar eclipse, is there really going to be a demon king that will bite the sun?" And then the next page, this dude with a serious ass face on, he's like, "Midora, that was a fairy tale." Bullshit. I don't buy that. Hell no. No. This shit's real. No, how big do you want to go, man? How big? You want to get a fuck 12 inch? I want 24 inches. It's like he just wants huge. Whoa, bro. Listen, maybe it's a fairy tale. I don't know. It's just that the problem is it's Toriko. Like, that's the problem. It's fucking Toriko. That's the problem. He just does stuff sometimes, and you're like, really, dead ass. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see. It's just that this would Demon King bite the sun, and like you see this like weird creature, like the sun in his hands, literally, and you're like, maybe God is like a part of the sun. I don't know. Now I'm just throwing shit out there. Fuck it. Either way, what happens next? At the end, they said something, like, and then all of a sudden Kai says, "Oh, well, in comes Frozen." She says, "Oh, so Pear has arrived." And so that right there, that can't be the suit. Why? Because I've never heard of a dish walking and leaving, or an ingredient walking and leaving. Like, yeah, never heard of that. And I got a PM today, and basically like, this PM from a skill ... I'll leave it at that. Because again, I don't have permission to put their name out there. I won't do it. But basically, the thing about it is that what they're getting at, and I kind of agree here, is that Pear is the name of this Nitro coming in, and it's like a bunch of Nitro, Blue Nitro are coming in, and Acacia, this is the Gourmet God. He says they're Blue Nitro, sweat. They can't be beat. Which to me, he was sweating. He was like, and I was like, is the Gourmet God sweating? So that scar on his forehead had to come from somewhere. And I'm thinking, shit, if you can make the Gourmet God sweat, Blue Nitro, random color. You think it'd be gold or white? Well, no, black. Maybe. Oh, it feels black. Oh hell yeah. I mean, yeah. That's right. No. But still, Blue Nitro, Blue Nitro, and I'm blue. What can I say? The thing about it is that and they come, and we know that he got this information about the solar eclipse, about the 4 beasts from Pear, and Froze says Pear is coming in. So what we can assume, and what that guy was saying before, the guy who PM'd me, the individual who PM'd me, basically was saying Pear is probably the name that he gave the ingredient. He basically gave the name Pear to the ingredient as like a token to, or like a commemoration to, the Blue Nitro Pear. So the way it seems now is that the ingredient itself doesn't talk, doesn't have precognition, but the Blue Nitro does. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm not too sure exactly. But overall, the chapter, alright, the chapter, in my personal opinion, I thought, once again, it was a good chapter, Toriko. It really was. A lot of things being hinted here and there. Foreshadowing, maybe. I mean, again, you know, the sun, demon can't. I mean, hey, if you eat the sun, at that point in time, it's like, fuck it. Let's go really big. Let's start eating solar systems. Let's start eating galaxies. Like, fuck it. It's Toriko, man. Do you remember Sunny's hair, Satan's hair? It possibly has the power to just consume life on the planet, and then go out in outer space and consume life on other planets and shit, and just make like these planetary deserts and shit. I'm like, what? So, eating the sun? Fuck, I don't even know anymore, man. It's Toriko. But overall, once again, it is a good chapter, and I'll leave it at that. So, King of Lightning, be sure, of course, rate, comment, and subscribe as always. Peace. Have a nice day.